What do you think the future of that is with Spotify?
Well,
because Spotify's firing people like crazy.
They're making more money now. They're saving money.
So that you think they invested all the money in terms of to gain market share. Now they have market share and they're like, okay, we don't need to invest as much in private.
They're going to do a little bit more content, but I think at this point, they're just trying to find ways to make revenue, right? I think their new thing, because now they're the number one in podcast listening, they're going to probably try to incite and offer to people who they don't have to pay exclusive contracts to and be like, hey, listen, we have a monetization strategy where you can do ads for us. They
so
do
just like YouTube. They're trying to compete with YouTube.
Yeah, no, of course. So, obviously, I think they knew what they were doing with the exclusive contracts. And pretty much, I think from what I last was told, was like they only got like about 4 left.
Why didn't they re-sign you, or why didn't you re-sign with Spotify?
It was kind of mutual. Like, first of all, what they were asking for it didn't make sense for us to continue. And
what were they asking for?
A lot of episodes per week. And it was just.
But I mean, you stream a lot. Like the way you stream is like a 9-to-5 job.
There were 3 podcasts from Spotify that I think would have viral moments. It was Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name?
Daddy.
Call her Daddy. Akademiks.
Yeah.
I don't know another podcast that would have viral moments. Now, I'm not Daniel Elk. I don't know what he's looking for. Maybe he feels like your market share is already there or something. But I don't know another podcast that would have viral moments that exists on the internet than those 3.
They're not paying for viral moments.
Yeah, I don't know if they're listening to just viral moments. Like they're looking at just like I listen to NPR news and shit like that on Spotify daily.
Put it like this. Spotify's been in a very interesting position for the last year where with all due respect to the top 2 podcasts who they claim is top 2 is Rogan and
What do you mean they claim?
Well, I mean, I know Rogan's number 1, but they claim that Call Her Daddy's number 2.
And you don't
What do
believe
you mean that they claim?
Well,
I think she has a massive market with women.
No, she does. But like, if you look at all podcast stats, Rogan always comes number 1. I don't know if she always comes number 2. But again, it's their asset, so it's number 2 for them. You get what I'm saying?
No.
Tell me what you think about that.
He's saying even if they're not number 2, they're going to say she's number 2 because
that's number
she
2
has
for
the
them.
exclusive contract.
That's number 2 for them.
If she's 4,
which
let's just move her to 2.
Which makes sense, right? But at the point that they're at is like they're not looking for necessarily like viral moments and shit like that. I think they're looking for, okay, we have to keep these 2 to keep a significant audience here, but the majority of their traction and audience were not coming from creator-filled podcasts. Like, for example, like I've seen some of the stats, like most of their listenership, because it stopped becoming about, okay, how much do you guys publish a week? Once or twice? Publicly.
Once regular and then once Patreon.
Okay, so once. So great, you guys might do phenomenal numbers, but they're like, well, we have NPR or we have
every
whoever,
single day.
and they're doing more volume, and also they're like, some of these like true crime podcasts, it's not necessarily about unique visitors, it's about how many people you could get coming. So really, they're looking at it like, shit, even with us, they would have wanted us to drop every day.
So they want hours listened.
Yes, yeah, it's like because I got into, me and my lawyer was arguing about this. It was like, yo, hey, listen, per the contract, you just need to drop. And I'm like, if the content isn't good, I don't want to drop. They're like, you just have to drop.
No.
And I'm like, it's gonna water down the brand. They're like, well, listen, it's all about just getting the content out.
Yeah.
So that's a different strategy than what most creators would want, right? So like, if you guys signed, I don't know, what's the number for you guys? 40 million?
300 million.
300? Mm-hmm. Well, he's just not into anything. 300? Maybe 300. Okay, I bet.
Yeah, 9 figures.
Okay, cool. You got Rogan's contract, right? I think Rogan does 3 a week or 2 a week?
4, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Really? Okay, cool. Now you guys have to do 8 a week. Also, you have to keep a career up.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm out.
So now you can't really do it, but you are in this contract. You're trying to do it.
I don't think people realize what Rogan does, bro.
It's insane.
And of course.
And not just the number of episodes, the duration of each episode.
And of course.
And every person he's speaking to, except comics, is an expert in their field, and he has to know what the fuck they're talking about to ask questions about.
He's
it.
fucking amazing.
And does 2 hours of comedy a week at the comedy club.
Yeah.
And with us, if
It's
there's a
not
moment
even-
where I'm not listening, he's probably listening, he's probably listening, he's probably listening.
He's
There's a moment
locked in.
not
We're all
listening. He's
listening.
all him. It's insane.
God, gosh.
Yes. So that's the thing. So once you realize, because Spotify, other than for the flagship, at first the contracts that they're giving out is, hey, we're doing user acquisition contracts. Hey, well, you're the hip hop guy, or say before me, Joe Budden. We want to get the hip hop people over here, so we're paying you really to bring the hip hop audience. Right? Oh, okay. Well, Joe Rogan, you're this guy. We're paying for your audience to come here. And that's cool for the first year or two. Then the mentality turns into, well, shit, it's also about the sales team. Now, what the sales teams need? They need
views.
A
Yeah. Once they
lot
have
of
the
episodes.
audience, yeah.
So now it's like, okay, cool. All these like celebrity podcasts they did that was supposed to be once every month. Those are done. So now they're like, for the regular podcast, like say they give you a contract, they're like, well, we said you was cool with once a month, but we need to up it up. Like, so their business model changed a bit. And then, midway through and, again, I love Spotify. I think they did an amazing job.
Unbelievable what they've done.
Of course. But also everyone who reinvented and revolutionized the podcast game there were content people who then moved on.
And also, they already ate up your market share. So they just want to get you listening or watching podcasts on their platform. Once they get that.
And here's the thing, too. So they were also carefully watching. As they're spending, hey, millions here, millions here, millions here, every quarter they're going back to their investors saying, hey, we're down, but trust the vision. The stock price dropped from damn near almost 300 to 60.
Spotify isn't Disney Plus. Spotify isn't Netflix. Like, I'm watching Netflix as long as there's a Netflix show I want to watch. Spotify is my listening app. If I want to listen to music, I turn on Spotify. If I want to look for a podcast, I turn on Spotify. So if they gobble up all of your audience, once they know they have your audience, they've already committed, they're buying, they're spending every month, they have a confidence that your audience is not gonna stop listening. Matter of fact, if you just go do your podcast on your own, you're probably gonna upload it to Spotify. We're already on Spotify right now for free. Why would they pay us $300?
Hey, we're not on a Spotify exclusive contract anymore. We still upload to Spotify.
Yeah.
Right? Joe infamously, who had to deal with them, at first he tried to withhold. He was like, I'm not putting it on there.
Then he
Which
caved.
show?
Joe Budden.
Oh.
By the way, also...
Joe is always Joe Rogan.
Okay, my bad. Well, someone, which I'll
There's
leave
Joe
it,
Rogan,
I'll leave
Joe
it nameless.
Biden.
I'll leave it nameless for now, but someone told me at Spotify, which to me that was very alarming, but indicative of how they view things. They said, hey, when Joe did this whole
Which
thing,
Joe?
Joe Budden, oh my God, my nigga.
There's one Joe.
Okay, all right, fine.
The second Joe is the president.
Okay. When Joe Budden said, hey, listen, I'm not putting my stuff on Spotify and whatever, we're boycotting, they literally cited the actual number of people that they knew unsubscribed. And it was like I don't even want to say the number. They could actually be like, oh, it's 15 people that left. It was, so they looked at that and they were like, oh, good riddance. Well, according to what they told me, I don't know.
There was a.
And by the way, hold on. By the way, I'm not saying that to be an indictment against Joe.
No, I know.
I think
This is a business strategy.
I think
it's not even a shot because there's very few people.
They're probably saying the same thing.
There's very few people that
you got when you first brought your audience here. They've been subscribed for 2 years. You were here for 2 years, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Right They've been listening to not only your podcast, other podcasts, music, this and third. Now we're done with you. How many people you think are gonna You could lead a charge like, hey, leave Spotify. How many people think
Ain't nobody
leave?
Because I think audio platforms are much less. So it's like once you subscribe to an audio platform, it's like you're here. But like video, there's 1,000 of them. It's way easier to switch from a Netflix to a Hulu
I see
to
people
a whatever.
do Netflix more like that.
It's behavior. It's like
it's like
we're not on to
you.
Netflix because we have this behavior that just turns on Netflix. We're on Netflix because they have a show we really want to watch. So they need to keep creating content. With Spotify, the majority of our time on Spotify is with music. So once it becomes our music platform, we'll also listen to podcasts there. So it's very hard for me to unsubscribe to Spotify, which I now listen to music and I listen to all my other podcasts on, or I do whatever I listen to, just because one person left. I'll just go follow that one person to wherever else they go, but I'll also keep this
The loss
platform.
leader. I just need to get you into the store.
Name audio only platforms.
Yeah.
And by the way,
There's
I think this is
3.
why
That's
they
it.
only keep, and if you look at all their exclusives, they're only keeping things for namesake. Rogan, because you can't have Rogan go wide. Can't. You keep Rogan, you keep Call Her Daddy. I think there's like two more or so. And after that, everyone else, thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, I can't think of
Which, by the
anyone
way,
else.
here's the thing. I knew it was going to be that all along.
It's almost like it's more beneficial for you for the first time to sign a crazy long deal. It's almost better for you to be like, instead of 2 years, give me a 10-year deal.
You know what's so funny about that? Which I feel like it almost gets like off podcast like kind of conversation. I remember, like me and my lawyers, we would always be talking, and there was a time where like even our strategy used to be like, yo, we want the shortest period of time that we could renegotiate. Like, fuck no. Tell them like, yo, we're here for 20 years. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
We're here for 20 years with the biggest amount of money. Because what happens is that
You gave them your whole audience. They realize they love the listening platform. They stay there.
they have analyzed the fuck out of the statistics. They know they're like, I mean, we'd have these quarterly meetings like, hey, this is how your audience acts, blah, 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 blah. They are engaged, blah, blah, blah. You'd almost like, listen, like, yo, how the fuck do you know my audience more than me? Oh, yeah, motherfucker, we've been tracking you. So now it's like, all right, cool. Hey, listen, we could bring you on back for continued years, but it will be definitely way less than what you thought it was.
because they already got your people and they know they're not going anywhere.
And by the way, here's the thing, though. One thing I'll say, I'm never like,
But that's why I say the number's so high. I don't think that the number for us is honest, if you will. Dove uses this term like honest when it comes to a deal. Our number isn't honest, but I know that if we bring all of our listeners onto a platform, if your platform is good, like Spotify is good, they're just going to keep listening to everything there. So what is the cost to bring all of our listeners onto your platform forever? You don't have to pay for 2 years. You pay him forever.
So let's talk about Rogan. Do you think Rogan is getting properly compensated, or?
No, he deserves even more. If Rogan went to Apple, I think everybody go to Apple. I think he has that much influence.
Oof.
By the way, let's go back to the last conversation we were talking about, maybe an hour ago, moving audience. Like, if Rogan says today, I'm out, big deal.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing. If he says I'm out, he also has so much money that he could be like, I'm out. I don't want to be on your platform anymore. And matter of fact, I'm not even going to upload my podcast to your platform. I'm just going to put it on YouTube.
Yeah, if he
Then
stops putting it on the platform.
If he's like,
but if he
I'm good, like,
if he continues,
why would he continue? If he's like, listen, I
if
can
he's
get
leaving-
all my
if he's leaving,
YouTube.
if he leaves the platform,
If he does what Joe Budden was doing,
Yes.
that would work, because
Yeah.
his market share is just ridiculous.
that's different.
Because
Like,
people need
but
that,
if he's-
and they need it 4 times a week. So now he could be like, listen, guys, I think I'm going to need a little more.
It was rumored that they were paying him like $100 million a year. Do you think they're upping it, or they just have to keep it the same?
They would have to up it, I think.
Really?
What is the cost to the stock? I think that's what you got to look at. It's like, what is the hit the stock takes? If the stock takes $1 billion hit, you got to pay him $1 billion. You have a fiduciary responsibility to the stockholders.
They haven't let him go yet. I will tell you this though. Ever since they've cut their spending back, because shit, I follow the stock. I ain't gonna lie to you, which I've never told anyone. I'll tell you this: the money they gave me the first year, I dumped half of it in stock. Which, by the way, tanked. It only came back up now.
It did.
It tanked.
Stop gambling, bro.
That's not gambling. I'm like,
Son,
yo.
how you bet on yourself twice? That's crazy.
Side note.
But anyway. No, it's good now though. It's good now.